For more, I'm joined by Gabriel Ehrlich in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's an economic forecaster at the University of Michigan, where he is the director of the research seminar in Quantitative Economics. Thanks very much for your time, Gabriel. Now, tell us more about what a debt ceiling is, how close to the brink are we, and what it could mean for the economy.
Well, thanks for having me. The debt ceiling goes all the way back to the First World War. And it simply puts a limit on how much the United States Treasury can borrow. The Treasury is now at that limit, but of course it still needs to pay the bills as they come due. And so it's now implementing what are called extraordinary measures, which despite the name have become rather ordinary over the past few decades as debt ceiling fights have become more normal. And so, at this point, we're still several months away from the true X date at which the Treasury won't be able to meet its bills. So it's too early to panic right now, but certainly if we do get to that point without a deal and without a resolution to the situation, it would be very bad news for the economy.
The US has never defaulted on its debt, one of the big reasons for the dollar being the world's strongest currency. So what options does the government have at this point? And analysts describe that this particular time being different to others, that there's something more critical going on here. Can you explain that for us?
Sure. So right now, the Treasury has options, including things like not reinvesting in certain pension funds, in certain trust funds. And those are measures that it has used before. How long it can use those so-called extraordinary measures is uncertain. It depends on the strength of tax collections. And if we do have a strong tax collection season in the spring, that would certainly delay the time that the debt ceiling really becomes critical. And there is a question, well, is this time different than past times? Right now it's still an old-fashioned stare down. Neither side wants to give any ground at the moment, but we do have several months to see, what takes shape.
So let's just analyse that stare down for us. There are lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are threatening a default as a means to compel concessions on policy. Explain the politics behind a tactic like this and what it means for which direction the government could take.
Well, yeah, it's a leverage point. There's a faction in the House of Representatives that wants to use the debt ceiling as a means to reduce spending. And it does provide leverage, obviously, because the consequences of defaulting on the debt would be so severe. In the past, in 2011, that tactic was successful, and there were concessions that came out of the debt ceiling fight. This time through, the Biden administration seems determined not to give ground on the debt ceiling. So as of right now, I think it's too early to say what the resolution will be.
We're seeing unprecedented Republican wielding, perhaps, if you like, in the House at the moment. It was played out as we saw the House Speaker go through the process of election. How would you describe the threat of this Republican House that seems to have unprecedented power, per se?
Well, as of right now, we haven't seen a concrete set of concessions that they'd like to see and to implement. So I think it's too early to say for sure, what exactly they're looking for. They do have a very thin majority, and I think that's part of what's giving rise to the dynamic that you described, which is that it can take a small part of the caucus can wield additional power, precisely because the majority is relatively slim. And that does empower some of those members to angle for big concessions, and that's what we're seeing right now.
All right, thanks very much, Gabriel Ehrlich, for us in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Appreciate it.